Good afternoon. Welcome to Grade 12 English First Additional Language. We are still busy with the language section of our lessons, and today we are going to focus on common errors. Why, may you ask? In your language paper, paper 1, the last section on language, question 1 says, correct the single error in each of the following sentences. And I know that's the part of the paper that a lot of you dread because you can't seem to find that mistake. And that is why we are going to look at a few places where they can make deliberate errors in those sentences and an easier way for you to pick it up. We are also going to look at old papers and going to go through those questions together. So here comes the common errors. First of all, the difference between lend and borrow. When you lend, you give. When you borrow, you take. So when you borrow, you receive something from someone. May I borrow your ruler? So you get that ruler from someone, you receive it. When you lend, you give. I shall not lend my pen to Jack. So when you lend, you give. When you borrow, you take. Then this is where the spelling comes in of there, there and there. There, T-H-E-R-E is a place. She's already there. It is like here, just a bit farther, over there. And then the second one with the E-I shows ownership. People can't lick their elbows. So it's like our elbows, only it belongs to them. It is their elbows. And then look at the apostrophe. There is they are. Okay, they are all crazy. So with the Y in it, with the apostrophe, is short for they are. A little bit later in the lesson, we are going to discuss the use of the apostrophe in detail. Then we have where and were and where and where. Where with the H is an adverb relating to a place. I know where you left it. Where do you live? Were is the past tense of are. We were playing outside. Not lately, but we were playing inside rather. The apostrophe again is a contraction of we are. We are going to the park. We are going to the park. And then where is used when talking about clothing. I don't know what to wear, or in the girl's case, I have nothing to wear. Take careful note of the spelling of all four of these words. The difference between teach and learn. Learn is to gain knowledge. I learned a great deal today. You are learning right now. Teach is to pass on the knowledge. I taught my dog to swim. I am teaching right now. How to remember? Take the word learner and teacher. And then you'll remember a teacher is passing on the knowledge he teaches. And a learner is gaining the knowledge he is learning. Off with one F and off with the double F. The one F, we are nearing the end of our final year of school. I am of the opinion that you should be punished. It's mainly used as a preposition. The double F, please switch off that bright light. The car was driven off that bridge. This is commonly used as an adverb. Remember, an adverb describes the verb. Advice with a C and advise with an S. The easiest way to remember it is the one with the C is a noun and the one with the S is a verb. Look at the examples. I really need to get some basic financial advice. Financial advice is a noun. Let me give you a piece of advice. Again, a noun. You should listen to the advice of your elders. A noun. Look at the verb examples with the S. I'd advise you not to tell him. And from a practical viewpoint, I'd advise you not to go. Something you need to do. A verb is an action word. So the one with the S is something that you do. This might seem easy, but there's a lot of you that still confuse the three words to, and to. The first one with the W is obviously the number. 2 cats are on a scooter. To means also. I'm going to school too. I'm going with you too. All right. So it's also, and then excessively, it is too hot outside. And then the other one is the preposition used for everything else. The alien is traveling to Earth. I am going to school. He is talking to me. Then lie. You can tell a lie or you can lie down. He often lies to his parents. Look at the spelling. He lied to his parents or he has lied. To lie down, he lies down on his bed every day. To lay the table or to lay an egg. Every morning she lays the table. Yesterday she laid the table, etc. At this moment she's laying the table and she has laid the table for breakfast. To lay an egg, the hen lays an egg every day. So be very sure between lie, lay and lay. Win and beat. You win a trophy, but you beat somebody in a game. Most of you tend to say, we won somebody in that game. No, you beat them in the game. Right. Then specifically for the Afrikaans speaking learners, cousin, niece and nephew. Your niece and your nephew are your brothers, sisters, children. Brothers or sisters' children. Your cousin is your aunt's or uncle's children. In Afrikaans, we do it quite differently. Remember, niece and nephew are your brother or your sister's children. Your cousin is your aunt or your uncle's children. Then bought and brought. Bought is the past tense for buy. Example, I bought a new car. And brought is the past tense for bring. I brought you a bunch of roses. Some and any. Some is used in positive sentences. Any is used in negative sentences. Example of a positive sentence, I have some friends. We bought some coffee. Positive, there's no negative words in there. Any is used in a negative sentence. I don't, it's my negative word, have any friends. There isn't the not any bread left. So some positive, any negative. Many and few, much and little. Here we can refer back to a bit of parts of speech where we can refer to countable and uncountable nouns. Many and few are applicable to countable things. I have many dresses, I can count them, hanging in my cupboard. I only have a few friends. Things you can count, many and few. Much and little refer to things that cannot be counted, uncountable nouns. How much trouble did you get into? I only have a little coffee left. So make sure about your countable and uncountable nouns, and then you remember countable is many and few, uncountable, much, and little. Who and whom? Now, this is rather a difficult one for some of you. Who refers to the subject of the sentence and whom refers to the object of the sentence or is used after prepositions. I remind you of our previous lesson where I told you a sentence has a subject, a verb, and an object. The subject is the person or the thing performing the action. The object is the person or the thing that the action is being done to. And if you're still confused, substitute who with he or she and whom with the M behind it with him or her. Look at the example. There was a king who, in the place of the subject, loved all these people, but whom nobody liked. And there I did the substitution. He loved all these people, but nobody liked him. Right. This one is extremely important, and in that favorite question of all of you of correcting the single mistake of single error in each of the following sentence, it will almost always be in there. It's without the apostrophe and it's with the apostrophe. Now the first one is used to indicate possession. The dog is eating its bone. Remember, when we talk about an animal, it's not the dog is eating his bone, the dog is eating its bone. And then it's with the apostrophe is a contraction of it is. So if you see it in a sentence with the apostrophe and you don't know if it's used in the correct way, just read it out as the two words, it is. So it's getting warmer each day. It is getting warmer each day. Say, for instance, at your first example, the dog is eating its bone. That it's was written with an apostrophe. And you wanted to check if it's correct. The sentence would read, the dog is eating it is bone. No, it doesn't fit. So then you know that it's is correct without the apostrophe. That's how you check. If you see an apostrophe with its, take the words apart. It is. And see if it fits in your sentence. Then you will be able to identify that specific mistake. When to use I and when to use me. Right. Now you use I when it's part of the subject. Again, remember, subject, verb, object. So the sentence says, Jenny and I are joining the chess club. So Jenny and I is the subject. Are joining is the verb. And then the chess club is the object. So we use Jenny and I, not Jenny and me, not I and Jenny. Jenny and I, because it's in the place of the subject. Now the next one, me, when it's part of the object. Jill took Mary and me to the shop. So Jill is my subject, took is my verb, Mary and me is the object. Right, so it's Mary and me. It's not me and Mary. Why? Because in English, as in life, we must always place the other person first. So I use I if it's in the place of the subject, and always the other person first, Jenny and I. And I use me if it's in the part of the object, and it's always the other person first, Mary and me. Then just miscellaneous mistakes that you tend to make. You don't say, I love the nature. You have to say, I love nature. Another thing that's not even written here is, I love this, I love the land, or we live in a nice land. It's not like it, we live in a nice country. They took him to hospital, not they took him to the hospital. They threw stones at him, not they threw him with stones. We heard a loud noise. not a hard noise. A rock is hard. A noise is loud. What time is it? Not how late is it? And they have finished, not they are finished. Take note of these common mistakes that you tend to make. Right, part of your common mistakes is the subject-verb agreement. Now, what does that mean? Your subject is your doer. Your verb is the action word. So you have to make sure that if your subject is singular, then your verb must be in a singular form. If your subject is plural, then your verb must be in a plural form. So if your noun, your subject is plural, your verb has to be plural as well. Now to make a noun plural, remember we add an S. Singular is a girl, plural is girls. But to make a verb plural, we take away the S. In singular, he talks, but plural, they talk. So listen carefully what I said. To make a noun plural, your noun is girl, it's singular. I want to make it plural, I add an S. One girl becomes a lot of girls. But if I want to make my verb plural, I have to do the opposite. I have to take away the S. In singular, he talks, but in plural, they talk. If you still find it difficult, I'm going to teach you the S rule. Now, this S stands for singular. And anything that has to do with singular, and you will see it contains an S. If I'm working in the present tense and it is singular, I would use is containing an S. If I'm working with a singular in the past tense, it would be was, still containing an S. If I'm working in the present perfect tense and it's singular, I would use has. She has eaten. She does her homework. And then if I have a verb, I add an S. So how do I remember this? I remember my S stands for the S rule singular. And everything containing an S is, was, has, does, eats is applicable to my singular noun. So if at any time you're not sure whether or not to add an S to your verb, remember S stands for singular. Look at the opposite. The opposite, the plural of is are. There's no S. Was is were. There's no S. Has is have. There's no S. Does, do. No S. And eats, you take away the S, eat, when you are working with a plural noun. Right, joining multiple subjects. So the first one we're going to join with is and. Now, joining multiple subjects sounds very difficult, but it's just two nouns that you are joining. Look at the example, Mary and Peter. Okay, there are two children. So the tip I want to give you, and is are. So and equals are. If you see the word and, it must be plural, always. If you see the word and, it must be plural. So Mary and Peter are not going to town. The children and the teacher are staying at home. Very applicable examples that we're working with here. What they will ask you, or how they will ask it, they will say the children and the teacher is staying at home. Now you're looking at the teacher and you see, oh, the teacher is singular, so the is must be correct. It's incorrect. If you see the word and, you must know it is plural. So anywhere that the word and is used, you know it is plural. The next one is a little more difficult, but if you learn this off by heart, then you won't make a mistake. It's or, either or, neither nor, not only but, also not and but. Look at the noun closest to the verb. Or, either or, neither nor, not only but also, not but. Look at the noun closest to the verb. Look at the example to help you to make better sense of it. Neither the teacher nor the children are playing outside. So there's it, neither nor. You have two nouns. The teacher is singular. The children are plural, right? So what is the rule? Look at the noun closest to the verb. So there's a noun, there's my verb. Children is my noun. It's the closest one. It's plural, so it must be are. And this is how they're going to try to catch you. They are going to substitute the are with the is, because you're going to look at the teacher and then it's going to be incorrect. So you have to know or, either or, neither nor, not only but also, not and but. Look at the noun closest to the verb. NB, very, very important rule that you have to remember. The second one, with, together with, like, including, as well as. Look at the first noun in the sentence. With, together with, like, including, as well as. Look at the first noun in the sentence. Now, the teacher together with, okay, together with, there it is. The children is staying inside. So what's the rule? Look at the first noun. I'm looking, there's my first noun. The children is my second noun. But the rule says I have to look at my first one. It is singular. And then I change my verb to the singular, which is staying inside. Again, what are they going to do? They are going to say the teacher together with the children are staying inside. And you're going to think it's correct if you don't know this rule off by heart. With, together with, like, including, as well as. Look at the first noun in the sentence. Right, first noun singular. My verb is in a singular form. I have full marks. Let the fun begin. This is your favorite part of your language paper. Correct the single error. We are going to look at it together. We're going to find the errors. We're going to discuss it. Right. Okay. The wheelchair-bound young man, a patient of me, was pushed to the stage of the high school to deliver his graduation speech. Now look at the second part of the sentence. A patient of me. The pronoun here was used incorrectly. It is supposed to be a patient of mine. Number B, his face was still partially paralyzed and he spoke in a soft voice. Remember, we are looking for, are they trying to catch us with subject, verb? Are they giving us a plural verb for a singular subject? What are they doing? So, his face, which is singular, and look at that. Were is not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be was. Number C. His parents insisted that he was a fighter. He would get through this and go on to attend university. Look at the spelling of the word on to. It is supposed to be two words. And then they never lost patience and Mark was involved in every decision. Right? This can have a double meaning, but in this sentence, in this context, we have to change the spelling to patience, as in you don't lose your temper easily, like that. Right, as I said, a patient of mine. his face was. Onto is two words, and then patients must be spelled. Those are the people in the hospital, and this is when you don't easily lose your temper. Right, the next one. Body language make up 50 to 100% of a conversation. Body language, is it singular or plural? It is singular. And what do I know from the S rule? I have to add an S to my verb. So this must be makes up 50 to 100% of a conversation. Number B, Robert Pipps, a body language expert, tells you how to interpret this non-verbal clues. Now, it's a lot of clues, and it's not supposed to be this, but it's supposed to be these. Number C, most of us are comfortable with a few seconds eye contact. Now, before I go on with number C, we are going to look at the apostrophe in detail. Now, the apostrophe has two main functions. The first one is omission or contraction. That simply means something has been left out. So instead of saying he is, his. We spoke about that earlier. It is, its. The second function is possession, to indicate ownership of something. In other words, something that belongs to somebody. The book belongs to Sarah. It is Sarah's book. Look at the use of the apostrophe there. There are, however, two rules that you need to remember, and which is very important. When a noun is plural and ends with an S, only use an apostrophe, not an apostrophe S. Look at the example. All the girls have books. So it's a lot of girls. So it's the girls' books. So what's the rule? If my noun is plural, which it is, it's a lot of girls, and it ends on an S, which it does, I only add the apostrophe. I don't add an S. So the rule says, if the noun is plural and ends on an S, only add the apostrophe. They are going to the house of the boys. There's a lot of boys living in that house, so it's the boys' house. What is the rule? If my noun is plural, lot of boys, check. Ends on an S, check. Only add the apostrophe. Right. The second rule, never, ever, ever in your life use an apostrophe to make the word plural. You only add an S. No apostrophes to make the word plural, except for letters and numbers, like all the sevens, and you have to mind your P's and Q's when you're in the company of the Queen. Right, so these two rules, very important. Remember, rule number 1. If the noun is plural, check. Ends on an S, check. Only add an apostrophe. Never use an apostrophe to form a plural, except for numbers and letters. Now let's go back. Most of us are comfortable with a few seconds eye contact. What is the rule? If my noun is plural, a few seconds, a few, that's more than one, that's plural, and it ends on an S, you only add the apostrophe. So here's your mistake. The apostrophe is in the wrong place. Number D. If people start to copy you, there you can sort of see the mistake over there. Right. If people start to copy you, only one O. And then number E. If you are training someone, it is useful to know how his mind works. Now, take a look at the suffix here, full. Now, remember suffix is a morpheme added at the end of a word. In this case, it is full. but except for the word full on its own, none of the suffixes that you add to the word has a double L. Remember that. None of the suffixes full has a double L except for the word full that you use on its own. Right, we said body language is only one thing, so our verb must have an S. Remember the S rule. And then it's a lot of clues, so it's not only this clues, it is these clues. And then remember the apostrophe, what we said, if my noun is plural, seconds, ends on an S, I only add the apostrophe. And then this is a simple preposition to, and then my suffix full with only one L. Have one of these, says the tall man, popping open a pod and shaking its contents into my hand. Now the moment you see it's, you check if it's correct. And what did I say? If you see the apostrophe, you have to say it is. So let's see. Have one of these, says the tall man, popping open a pod and shaking it is contents into my hand. So the apostrophe there is incorrect. It must be without the apostrophe. I hesitate for a moment, then toss the whole handful into my mouth. Look at the spelling of whole. There must be a W in front of it because that is a hollow thing in the ground. You're going to find it easy to put it in your mouth. Right, he stopped eating meat and just ate toasted cheese sandwiches. Okay, look at the spelling of sandwiches. Right, the witches are made of sand. No, not really. This was misspelled. Sandwiches must be spelled like this. Right, so immediately if you see a it's in those sentences, check if it's used correctly. That was a spelling mistake and also a spelling mistake. The witches are not running around or made of sand. Handwriting dominated every aspect of a school-going child's life. Stop. Immediately when you see an apostrophe, stop and see if it's correct. A school-going child. Now, that's only one. That is singular. All right. So the apostrophe is used incorrectly because it must be plural and end on an S. So the apostrophe must be there in between. Right. Many older people still have dairies. Remember the spelling of diary is I-A. Okay, that has something to do with milk and butter. Difficult to write on. Right, so make sure the spelling a diary. Then handwritten cards, letters and notes from dear family members and friends who have passed away is. So the handwritten cards 1, letters 2, notes 3. Do you agree those are plural? So the word is does not fit in there. It must be are. Right. And then, should pen and paper be kept alive when laptops and mobiles are faster and accurate? More accurate maybe? Right. So what are we going to look out for when we see that horrible question that you all hate? And it's actually not that difficult. We are going to look out for the pronouns, me instead of mine. We are very, very specifically going to look for subject-verb agreement. Do they use is where it's supposed to be and are where it's supposed to be? If I have a singular noun, I must have a singular verb. If I have a plural noun, I must have a plural verb. Look out for spelling mistakes. Very, very important, apostrophe. The moment you see the apostrophe, test it. Look if it is. see if the rule is used correctly of the plural noun ending on an S and adding only the apostrophe. Remember the suffixes, that it's used correctly. That falls in with spelling. I really hope this was helpful to you all. When you get to that question, just stop and look at the apostrophe. Look at the subject-verb agreement. Look carefully for the spelling. And it's not that difficult after all. Enjoy the rest of your day further. Make wise choices. Goodbye.